Hello everyone, welcome back to the computer science section of Info Index. Today we'll be looking at if statements and switch in case. But before we dive in, we should look at Java logic operators. In Java and most coding languages, there are 6 logic operators. Smaller than greater than equal to, and not equal to. All of these logic operators will return a true or a false, which is a Boolean value. An example of this can be if we set A equals 11 and B equals 17 and we evaluate all of these logic operators, we'll get that A is smaller than B, true. A smaller than equal to B is also true. A greater than B is false. A greater than equal to B is false. A equals to B is false, and A is not equal to B is true. So now that we know logic operators, let's go back to if statements and comment this out. If statements are basically questions that you ask Java, and depending on the answer, Java will either do something or do nothing. So an example of this can be if we give C, if we grab a value for C from console, and then we have an if statement asking Java whether C is greater than 2. If it is greater than 2, we will output yes in the console. So let's test this out. So I'll give 6. Let's say C is 6. So yes, C is 6, which is greater than 2. It'll output yes. Very simple. However, there are more than one types of if statements in Java. There are if else, if. So the most basic one are the ones that we just did, the single if statements. The bit more complicated is this one, the if else statement. So here we'll give D a value, and if D is greater than 7, we'll output greater than 7. Else, it is not greater than 7. So let's test this out. So we'll give it, let's say 4. 4 is not greater than 7. So we'll output it not greater than 7. Simple. So last kind is the if else statements. These are the most widely used ones compared to the other two since they are more useful. So here we have E, and we can grab E from console, and we ask Java if E is greater than 10. If it is, it will output greater than 10. Else, we'll ask Java again, is it smaller than 10? And then if it is, Java will output less than 10. Or in the very end, if both of the previous ones don't work, we'll output it is 10. So let's try this. So let's say E equals to 23. It's greater than 10. If we try again, let's say it's negative 2. It's less than 10. And if we say it's 10, then it is 10. So simple, right? So the general template for if statement is if you have a condition, and if that condition is met, it will run the code block within these two curly brackets. If this condition is not met, it will ask the second question. And then if that second one is met, it will run the code block within these curly brackets. And the number of else if statements are as many as you need. And in the very end, we'll have an else, which means if all previous if and else if statements does not work, we'll run this code block. So now that we know if statements, we can take a look at a special type of if statement, switching case. Switching case is basically a niche if statement. So general template is switch, you have an expression, and you have the different cases. And if it meets the first case, it'll run the code block within the first case. If it meets the second case, it'll run the code block for the second case. Or it'll run the default case. So an example of this can be this. If we give int day a number between 1 and 7, and switch evaluates this, and it asks, is it 1? If it's 1, system will output Monday. If it's 2, it'll output Tuesday, and so on. So let's try this. So if we give a 5, it equaled 5. So it output Friday. The limitation of this is that you have to have your answer have to be a case, or else you can run a default. And it's a lot more limited compared to the normal if statements. And another thing that is different from if statement is that the switch, the expression in the switch must be a number instead of a Boolean value, because in if statements we know that the condition must evaluate into a Boolean value to see if it's true or not. But for switch and case, it has to be a number. So that's it for today. Sorry for the few month long hiatus, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.